Hi kids, it's Mr. Agee here, and I'd like to lead you through a little slideshow about our first inquiry unit that is under the IB theme, Who We Are. I've been talking a lot in these videos about our unit called Boundaries, and we've had some things in reading to do related to this, and we've had some things in writing to do related to this. Some of the books that I've read to you have to do with this theme, who we are, and in third grade we call the unit boundaries. So you've probably heard of the concept of boundaries before, and we're going to try to look at this concept of boundaries through a lot of different lenses. The big idea here that we are trying to explore in this unit is the central idea: boundaries help determine identity. Well, boundaries as a concept, it could mean a lot of different things depending on how you're looking at it. So we have some lines of inquiry to kind of guide us through our thinking and learning about this unit. So we have developed these lines of inquiry based on the activities that we are going to put you through and expose you to, the kinds of books and writing assignments that we're going to give to you, and this is what we're going to explore and wonder about. So we're going to wonder about how interpersonal relationships affect the wellness of self and community. So wellness of self is your personal well-being, and wellness of community is how healthy our community is, whatever that community might be. And we're all a part of lots of different communities. Interpersonal relationships are the relationships between people and how those affect how well we are as individuals and in our society. We're also going to explore physical boundaries. Physical boundaries may represent themselves as something in the land that separates one place from another. It might be something that separates the space that separates your personal body from someone else's personal body. Very relevant to our times here in the time of COVID-19. And we're also going to explore political boundaries, which could be the lines between states. It could be the lines between ideas that separate people in different political parties. There are lots of different ways that we can view the concept of boundaries. So some of the questions that we're going to consider as we go, this is a short list. We're going to consider a lot of these questions, but so far we've already been exploring this one a little bit. What makes a person who they are? What makes people different from each other? How might differences between people be considered boundaries? When you build relationships with others, what kinds of boundaries do you set? So these are all pretty closely related to that first question, or the first line of inquiry up here: how interpersonal relationships affect the wellness of self and community. But as we move on, what I want to do is kind of give you a provocation. I'm going to provoke you into thinking and wondering about different ways to think about the concept of boundaries. And then after I flip through this slideshow, it has about 15 or 16 images. You're going to have a discussion thread to choose one of these images that sticks with you and write about how does that represent boundaries? What do you think about it? What questions do you have related to this unit of study? And that's going to be your work for today. So here we have an image of the sun rising over the horizon of Earth. It's a picture taken from space. This image may look familiar to you. How might this be related to boundaries? Very interesting. Oh my goodness, look at that diagram. Inside of the person on the left's mind is the word fact, and inside of the person on the right's mind is the word belief. And I see all sorts of arrows and finger wagging, and I see their hearts are pointed towards each other, and their brains are pointed towards each other, and their mouths are pointed towards each other. Very interesting. Oh, how cute. I wonder how that might represent boundaries. or what boundaries have to do with this image. Ooh, this looks familiar. That is our home state of Indiana. And this is an old map over here where we've got some of the original county borders and some other lines and rivers. And so compared to a different kind of map of Indiana, and you see the inset image of the entire United States, and Indiana is kind of lit up here in red. Wonder what that has to do with boundaries. Mountains. How could that relate to boundaries? A coastline. Very interesting coastline too, with arches and the rocks and a cliffside. And here over here we see a little beach area. This looks kind of like a golf course. I think I see a green over here. I think I see some sand traps. Very interesting. Oh my goodness. So this person is wearing a protective suit, a protective mask, and has more masks in her hands. I wonder what that has to do with boundaries. Interesting. We have a classroom with students from Kenya inside of it. Kenya is a country in Eastern Africa. Oh, and here we've got a different kind of classroom. I wonder if we were looking at these two classrooms, if we could think about maybe some differences. Sometimes when we think of differences often can be represented as boundaries between two different things that are similar. Ooh, there's a different kind of classroom here. This might look a little bit more familiar with what we're doing learning from a distance, although these people aren't too distant from each other. It's like in a computer lab with desktop computers, kind of like when I was in high school. Oh, people sitting at a table eating Ethiopian food with injera, kind of bread that you share a communal meal with. You eat together. I wonder what that has to do with boundaries. Oh, and here is an American style school lunch. Got a little tray with dividers in it and things that you probably recognize. And we're closing our boundary slideshow with an image of someone handing out free hugs. I wonder what that might have to do with boundaries. So like I said, you're going to go now to the discussion thread and answer the response or give your responses to the prompts on the discussion thread. And I'll take you right to where it is so I can explain something to you. Right here it says Wednesday Inquiry 2 Boundaries Slideshow Response. So when you click into here, it gives you written instructions that I wrote in there. Type your thoughts about the pictures I showed in the slideshow about our boundaries unit, and then it says choose one of the pictures and write about how that image represents boundaries. Write a question you have about our boundaries unit. So there's several things for you to do here. And remember, these are your assignments. So you should be showing me as the best kind of work that you can do, the best kind of thinking, the best kind of writing that you can do. Put your mind to it. It's not about just getting done with something. It's about actually showing me what you're thinking about and what kind of inquirer you are. What are you wondering about this? Now, I know that sometimes there's a lot of words here in the directions. Well, I've also recorded an audio version of me reading these instructions. So if these are too many words for you, what you can do is you can go click on this audio recording and it gives you my voice reading the instructions. And then you know that down here is where you post your comments and responses. Good luck. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to the work that we're doing in our boundaries unit, and I think we're going to have a good time with this. Thank you.